Hey, NIO FAM, happy Tuesday to you. It's Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. We're about 20 minutes left or away from the close of the stock market here in the US today. And I'll talk briefly about stock price. There's something I noticed. I want to point it out. I think it matters in the short term with respect to stock price action, but I also want to address this. This is the share that I offered in my video from yesterday. Now, Thinkercar is one of two accounts that I share the weekly data from. Both of these accounts I consider to be credible. And so this was the approximate number, the estimation by them, about 9,500. And I was hoping we would see updated data and maybe more specific data with a breakdown today on Tuesday. We did not get that from Thinkercar or from this other party. However, there is misinformation floating around. So I want to clarify, and I actually retweeted this because China EV or CNEVhome is the other account that I do share things from. Because again, both of these Thinkercar and CNEVhome I consider to be credible with respect to the insurance registration data. And this is the update. You know, they reached out to NIO directly, and NIO confirmed that 13,000 is not the number. They don't share those numbers. NIO does not put out the weekly numbers. And so the reality is, you know, this is consistent with my expectation, which was the beginning of the month. We usually see smaller numbers. And this may be why, for those wondering, is this is William Lee. And this is roughly the first week of November, right? And he's posting and sharing about sending exports out off, into Europe. So if the early part of the month is when NIO does this, it makes sense as to why the insurance registration data on the beginning or early part of the months is usually lower. It also makes sense as to why they trend in the upward direction and the biggest numbers come in later in the month. I'm hoping we will get an update from either Thinkercar or CNEVhome on this tomorrow, because we didn't today. But if we get it, I'll share it and do a video follow up. But I wanted to clarify that because folks talking about 13,000, that's not realistic and in line with what I've been tracking over the years with NIO. The lower numbers come in early in the month. So in any event, I was going to be happy and will be happy if we see a 9,000 plus number, especially if you consider that NIO could be sending their exports out early in the month. But now let's talk briefly about the stock price. And there's just one thing I want to point out. It is at the bottom of the screen. I am keeping it there until we see at least a $15 price point for NIO. And those are the three short-term stock price indicators. I want to direct your attention now to the left side here. And this is the uptrend for NIO dating back to July of this year, 2025. And in the recent term, all of these represent daily trade volume during the day, the trade day. And we have not had two consecutive 100 million share trade volume days for NIO stock since back here. And what we saw right around there is the day before, NIO closed the day at about 649. And then after those 2 days, we saw NIO go up into the 645 range. It closed at, 745. It closed at 745. So obviously a move up with just 2 days of 100 million share trade volume. If we go back a little bit further, this is the next time. And this is the dilution point, by the way. So this is kind of a one-off. But if we come back here, we've got 4 days, trade days back to back to back to back. And what we saw was a price point that prior to that started with the close at 507. This next day, it opened at 524. And then we saw it go as high as 683, I think it was. Yeah. And then it closed at 670. My point is this. It's easier for big money to control or hold the stock price down or take it down if there's low volume. And we've had a lot of low volume days. So it doesn't surprise me when we see this kind of boring consolidation type of price action. And if this continues, if we don't get a push with bigger volume on consecutive days at the very least, then it just won't surprise me if we have longer to wait. That's just me calling it like I see it. And again, tracking this stuff for several years now. So nerding out pretty heavily on the research and just glad to share a little of it here on the channel. So anyway, drop a like on the video. What? I never even think to say that, but I just did. So thanks for liking the video, and I'll see y'all again very soon.